we're going to spend a little bit of time right here and looking at what are the traits that I admire. You could pick one or two. They could be people that you admire. I've used bell hooks as an example, and some of the traits about her that I admire. You could bring to mind somebody that you would admire and think about the traits about them that you admire, which is sometimes a little bit easier than admiring ourselves because we have all that conditioning. Let's take a look through those traits that we admire, and whatever pops out at you is something you'd like to cultivate. Maybe you're already cultivating it. What resonates there for you? And try not to let the inner critic have its way here. These are not things that we're ever perfect about. We might really want to be cultivating being more open, or maybe social justice is something we've worked at for our whole life. And now we're really challenged to work with it more deeply right now with what's going on in the world. Just to look through, and then what are some of the traits that you are cultivating or that you would like to cultivate? And as always, as you're doing that, notice what comes up in your body. Keep regulated, breathe. And then if you have a couple, let's switch over now to when do you feel the most inspired? And when you're putting yourself out, as this quote from Megan Rapinoe, the soccer star, putting yourself out there is hard. It's empowering, it's confidence building, it's inspiring, not only to other people, but to yourself. So, how do you inspire yourself? And is that something that you have an interest in doing more of? And to feel into as well, when do you really feel alive? Thinking about it, during it, after. That picture is of me, Uppity Women Unite, in the early 80s, I think it was, being interviewed during a march that I'd helped to organize. When I think back on that time, I really felt alive during that time. What comes up for you around that? It doesn't have to be something like that, of course. It could be something completely different. Not to let yourself go into, well, yeah, it's something I would like to do, but I've got too much social anxiety, or I've just been watching Netflix instead of getting together and trying to do something that's fun, or whatever it might be. We're not looking to let the inner critic take over here. Exploring the positive side, what inspires you? And this is an example of Snoop Dogg when he was thanking himself. And I wasn't aware that he has a whole program where he works with affirmations for younger folks, for children. But I love what he said here. He's thanking himself for always trying to give and always trying to do the right thing, or to do more right than wrong, and for being himself. That little clip at the end, he's talking about that wasn't being cocky, that was building mental stability and self esteem. Let's do this as an inquiry. I admire myself. Does that feel uncomfortable for you? And of course, we're all like, well, no, I'm fine. I'm good with that. But what does it feel like in your body? I admire myself for I'm kind with myself. I don't give up on myself, whatever that might be for you. It could be something that came from the slides a little bit earlier, but what comes to mind? It doesn't have to be perfect. I've used this example too of what is your process when you feel hurt. Sometimes we'll do something really destructive. Sometimes we'll go into a fight response and blow up something in a relationship. If we're being kinder, we might wrap ourselves up and listen to a guided relaxation. Breathe. After we get a little bit regulated, what's the next step? If we're working with something, maybe in this example, it's not giving up on myself. And that might mean a lot of different things. But what happens after we've had an activation and then, or we've had a realization and we're like, yeah, I feel really dysregulated. I'm going to regulate, but then what am I going to do? And does that feel like a bit of a relief in my body? Can I take a few deep breaths if I'm holding my breath? This is a very hard, courageous path to not give up on ourselves, to admire ourselves, and to go for what makes us feel alive. This isn't easy. So when we're saying or sensing into that for ourselves, I admire myself. Part of what we're doing there is saying, I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be completely regulated. I don't have to always go for the gusto. I don't have to always. That perfectionism can really get in the way of our feeling, this is my life. I'm worthy of a good life. I'm good enough to enjoy my life, to work towards a life that I feel is meaningful, to enjoy the people and the things in my life that I enjoy, that I keep trying to keep my heart open. We'll take a few minutes here so you can really feel into that. If you want, you could say those words. I admire myself for. If you notice that you're holding your breath, take a deeper breath. What are you noticing? Maybe what you're noticing is that this is much better for you than it was 6 months ago or 6 years ago. That you're a lot more comfortable now admiring yourself. It's probably not 100% either. Maybe you're not shaming yourself so much anymore. Maybe you're more alert for that. You can come back into kindness. And with anything we're working with, what is in my long term better interest? For me, it didn't even occur to me to ask that question for a long time. Once we ask that and have some insight into that, then we have several steps to take to actually work towards that. So it's not an easy process. But where are you with that? And maybe there's no hesitation. Yeah, absolutely. This is my life. I'm doing it. Let's switch that a little bit and come into what is something that I'm really doing well? What's something I could really legitimately say, yeah, that's a pattern I've left behind? For me, procrastination was a big one. I don't very often procrastinate anymore. And if I do, I realize there's something going on. I'm going into freeze or shut down so I can work with that. But what's something for you that you feel like, yeah, I'm really not perfect, but I'm pretty good about that one now? And let yourself feel into that too. It's not always what we're working towards or doing. Some of that work is behind us now. And then let's try out a few of these sentences. Most of these are reverse inquiries where we might say something we wish was more true and then see what is it that's arguing about that inside of me. And it might be a tense muscle, it might be a thought. So if you were to sit back and say to yourself, I'm worthy of esteem, dignity, respect, and admiration. And somewhere on that continuum of no or absolutely yes, we're all on that somewhere. I know my mistakes are not me. I'm not bad. Maybe I've done something that's not skillful, but I'm not bad. I know I'm still lovable. I'm still worthy. I can take responsibility, address things. I'm good at my core. Feel into that dignity of esteeming yourself, of feeling that respect and admiration for yourself, that worthiness. That can be a bit of a challenge. We're really not conditioned to believe that we have inherent worth. Let your body relax, your face soften. One of the things Snoop Dogg said at the end of that little clip was, I need to do this for myself because you might not like what I'm doing. I can't depend on somebody else to approve of me. I have to approve of myself. And that really sets us free from that desperation of wanting someone to approve of us. Of course, we all like that. We all want that. And sometimes we can stand without that. Notice what that brings up for you as well. If you wanted to come back to these, some of these are longer, like looking into who do I hang out with? Am I hanging out with people that inspire me, that excite me? And if not, could I bring more people like that into my life? So some of these are bigger relationship issues. But I think it's true that when we are doing this work and we're kinder to ourselves, we're more regulated, that we do attract other people who are more like us now. And we can support each other in our highest and our growth and our goodness. And knowing each other's goodness is really powerful. What does it feel like for you right now? I'm worthy of esteem, dignity, respect,